evening and welcome to this special session on Women Health Matters that we are hosting just 2 days before the International Women's Day. I am Kamal Narayan, CEO of the Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council, a not for profit social institution advocating health for all. Women Health matters, and it matters because it's about half of the humanity. It's about half of our population, and it is the half that is the foundation of health, well-being, and happiness of entire families, communities, and nations. Still, when we look at the numbers, such as 53% of our women being anemic, or more than 500,000 women being diagnosed of cancer every year, that too at a much advanced stage, leading to high number of deaths, it clearly comes out that women health in India continues to be neglected, forgotten area. And this neglect actually has become so much systemic and normal that no one raises an eyebrow when women eat after everyone has eaten, or nobody cares to peep into her plate to see whether she is eating enough. And nobody cares to ask her if she is okay. Some say that women are neglected because they are not economically empowered, but that is a moot point here. For many of the health problems she suffers from are due to not prioritizing her health in our daily lives. And as India works to become a superpower, we may run out of the fuel if the health and well-being of this critical half of our population, our workforce, is not taken care of well. ISW Council has been leading the mission of putting the women health, nutrition, empowerment first and firmly so. Through our mega movement, the Sapath 1000 Days, we are building a public movement to exhort everyone and to make everyone contributor to women health and fasten the process of eliminating many health woes that our women have been facing for long, such as malnutrition, anemia, and others. And as we are approaching this International Women's Day, which is coming after the world saw one of the most devastating pandemic that too took major toll on women health and well-being globally, there can be no better time or opportunity to strengthen our resolve that women health and empowerment becomes the agenda of every day for everyone. And to lay down a roadmap that can help achieve this, we have an esteemed panel of speakers today with us. All these speakers are the women who have made their indelible mark on various walks of life and have shown that empowered women can make the world much more better than how we have it today. So let me welcome these remarkable personalities and all women achievers who are with us today. We have Dr. Blossom Kochhar, founder and chairperson of Blossom Kochhar Group of Companies, an industry veteran with over 35 years of experience. Dr. Kochhar is a respected name in the field of holistic beauty and well-being. Dr. Kochhar has nurtured highly successful and popular brands like Blossom Kochhar Aroma Magic and Blossom Kochhar College of Creative Arts and Design. So welcome, Dr. Kochhar, for joining us on this important discussion today. We have Dr. Hema Divakar with us, CEO of Artists, which stands for Asian Research and Training Institute for Skill Transfer. Dr. Divakar is a leading medical professional of India with a vision to improve healthcare services ecosystem for the welfare of women. She has over the last 3 decades been a game changer in healthcare, establishing new benchmarks standards and touching women's lives in the process. She is now the Foxy ambassador for FIGO, the international organization for ob-gynaes from across the world. So welcome, Dr. Divakar,
Namaskar.
on this session, which talks about women health matters. And I know it is something which matters a lot for you. We have Dr. Nandita Palshetkar, Director of Bloom IVF Centers in Mumbai. Dr. Nandita Palshetkar is among India's most admired and trusted IVF specialists. She has been passionately championing the cause of tackling the infertility burden that many times lead to stigmatization of women and leaves devastating impact on her health and well-being. Thank you so much, Dr. Palshetkar, for joining us on this session today. We also have Ms. Nikky Gupta, co-founder and CEO of Teamwork Communications Group. Nikky is an entrepreneur and passionate PR professional. She is a founding partner of Teamwork Group. She is an ardent health communicator and publicist and has been leading several impactful campaigns on health and disease awareness. She has been recognized among the top 100 influential game changers in the area of PR and media. So I welcome Nikky.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, Kamal and IHW, for having me today.
Thank you so much for joining. We also have Ms. Amarpreet Kaur Ahuja, Country Head and HR of Astra Zeneca, India. Amarpreet has more than 20 years of rich industry experience and has worked in many multinational organizations across different industry sectors, leading the Women Forum, working on the disability agenda, building an inclusive work environment have been some of her highly remarkable works in this space. So thank you, Amarpreet, for joining us on this session. So let me begin without any further delay about something which matters a lot. So let me begin with Dr. Kochhar. Dr. Kochhar, you personify women empowerment and what a successful woman can give to the society or achieve for the society as a whole. And interestingly, you built a brand that furthers the cause of well-being, especially for women. What's your idea of health of women and how much it matters for you?
Now, a woman's health is the most important thing, I feel, because if a woman is not healthy, she really can't be happy. She can't, and she can't look after her family. She can't look after her business. She can't look after anything. I think the woman's health is the most important, because and I also feel that a woman, she first has to, like I tell the women, you first have to look after yourself. If you are not healthy, how are you going to be able to, give to your family, give to your children and do anything? So, and if anything happens to the woman, like I tell them, then what is going to happen to the family? So you and the woman, I feel the woman has to take that responsibility to look after herself, which, they never do. They feel others are going to look after them, but no, they don't look after them. And then they get sick and then all this happens. So I always tell them that they have to start eating well. They have to start looking into the nutrition, which is very, very important, not just for themselves, but for the whole family. Like you were saying, Kamal, they eat last. I mean, they feel they'll feed the whole family and then they'll eat. And that is really sad. They should, I tell them, eat first and then feed them. So you have that energy to feed them. They need that energy to do that thing. So good nutrition. They have to do some form of exercise, which I tell them they must do. But then what happens? No, I walk in the house and I walk in the thing. So no, they have to do exercise. They have to do some yoga. They have to visit a doctor and take their tests at least once a year. I recommend twice a year, but if it's not twice a year, at least once a year, which is very, very important, So this is really, I feel it is very important. And it's not just important for the external look, doing your makeup and doing your hair. Look inside. also their emotional health, Kamal, is very, very, very important. They have to see that they can be strong, because look after that emotional health, laugh, look at movies, laugh, play with their children, so that they have that emotional health. They have the thing, and of course the spiritual is there, that happens, but emotional is very important, intellectual also, and they also have to look of their, at their financial well-being. Don't just leave it to the family, to the husbands, to the people around. Look after everything. You have to look after your whole well-being, and a woman can do that. I feel they need to do that. It's very, very, very important. That's what I feel, and I really tell them also that you must empower yourself, and a woman needs to empower herself. And one more thing is, a financial, when they are financially stable, they empower themselves, and this I highly encourage them to do, that they become financially empowered. That's what I say. But take your family along with you and keep your family there. Keep them happy, but you have to spend your time on yourself, which is very important. That's what I feel.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kochhar. And very important point, I think what you are saying, that, for any kind of achievement, success, whether it is on, business, whether in family, whether in your, academics, the health comes first, and women should take care of it. And not only, the external health, as you are saying, the emotional health, not only physical, but the mental health. That is what, you are highlighting. And I'm sure, this is a very important message and point which you are, kind of conveying here. Let me go to Dr. Hema Divakar on this. Dr. Divakar, 53% women anemic. Many of them, and most of them, are equally distributed in the, let's say, rural, urban. Many times we feel that, women are not that empowered in rural areas, and in urban area, it is all that we see, empowered women around us. Are they really empowered? Are they really, getting what is needed for their health? The kind of care is needed, for ensuring that they are eating well. They are, taking care of the prevention of the diseases. They are ensuring the proper nutrition. They are getting the right pregnancy care, both in urban and rural areas. What do you see in terms of the state of women health in our country, and how we can improve it?
Namaste Kamalji, namaste everyone, and thank you again for your kind invitation. The program today is titled Women's Health Matters. I would like to rechristen that saying, women do matter, because that is the first and foremost concept that the society has to realize. Nandita is here with me, and many times in our conferences, we quote, last 4 decades, I have been hearing the same quote again and again, and it really disturbs me much. Mahmoud Fatala, who is one of the greatest champions of women's health, had quoted once that there are many instances during childbirth, many situations where a young woman need not die while giving life. Okay? But the society is yet to decide whether her life is worth saving. And well, what distresses me and Nandita is that we have been saying this quote like a big quote time and again, time and again, time and again. 10 years are done, 20 years, 30 years, now 40th year, and then proudly we quote the same. It's time to stop cliched quotes and get into action. I strongly believe that men and women are equal, but they're different. Okay? And in the society, it is not the independence that we want to claim, it is the interdependence, because everybody, each one has a complementary role to play, and that is how we have to move ahead. And when we say that women's health is nation's wealth, again, I come back to Nandita when she took the prestigious post of the president of our society with 40,000 specialists, all committed to women's health care. The tagline of the conference was, women's health is nation's wealth. Well, the mindset of the women is always like giving, trying to do the best she can for the others, inclusive of her children, her husband, and the family. But why we say women's health is nation's wealth. It's not only anemia in the women that she has to take care of herself, that she becomes, energetic. It is she who is becoming pregnant and giving rise to the next generation. And an anemic woman with a low birth weight baby, whether it's a man or a woman, in the making, okay, the entire next generation tsunami of all these non-communicable diseases, it all starts in the womb. And what has necessitated our government specially to give the taglines for the entire country, because they have recognized that these are the issues, right? Whether it's urban or rural, Beti Bachao. The girl child is not even allowed to be born. It all starts from womb to tomb, right there. And then they said Beti Padhao, which means that yes, people are looking at Beti differently than the son. So they are denied of their education. And as Blossom said, unless they're educated and they remain in school, then the age of marriage matters, then the age of pregnancy matters, their career matters, their earning capacity and their empowerment. It's all a whole chain of, issues that come along with. So in our Shapath initiative, our resolve is not only to handle one small component of women's health. It is a broad umbrella. Anemia, as you asked, is one part of it. And this time we're really keen and really serious that this has to have a life course approach, because the woman who is anemic, her child who is born anemic, and then the toddler, then infancy, then adolescent, then her reproductive age is a journey through her ages. Everywhere we have to plug the whole circuit and the whole circle in a wholesome way, and everybody, we are together in it. And why we have purposely said 1,000 days, can anybody imagine how complex each problem is in the country when it comes to the health matters? Universal healthcare is really a distant dream as of now, but we are leapfrogging. The technology is enabling us to reach the rural areas. Please don't underestimate our rural women. They have some fantastic recipes, homemade things which can give good bit of iron, and the Anemia Mukta Bharat will originate from there, and they may teach us a lesson or two. So, and even the digital technology usage, the connectivity, etc., they are far more wiser and eating right. When we say there are many in the urban areas who are also anemic because they're not eating right. It's a poverty amidst plenty. So it's a mix of so many things, and nothing gets solved in a day. Rome was not built in a day. It is going to take us time. We have to remain there. We have to be consistent and persistent in our effort. And what better example you can have than India's response to the COVID pandemic? We are all heavily resilient. We are very optimistic. We are very hopeful. And even with the matters of women, women's health, nation's health, next generation health, rural or urban, we are all together. And yet again, we resolve that we will walk the talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Divakar. Your words always bring a lot of energy. You start feeling like, kind of a crusader every time I talk to you. Wonderful. But, I just want to take two messages out of here is that, you have very aptly said that it is not about women's health matter. It is women matter, and that is where kind of perception change we have to bring in our society. That's the mindset change we have to bring in the society. It is not always necessary that we feel that we need to empower somebody. We need to see that how much role they are contributing, how much how essential it is. It is without it is we are not there at all. So that's a wonderful message. And then the message of building interdependence rather than independence, that is something I think we are all need to start realizing, and that will be the beginning of our right direction of achieving what is not achieved so far. Dr. Palshetkar, so we are kind of getting the building blocks of our conversation. So Dr. Kochhar has highlighted that women's health matter a lot for anything and everything she can achieve in life. And Dr. Hema Divakar has kind of put it into a much broader perspective of that. Women health or women themselves are the most essential aspect or precondition of having the whole next generation or the whole civilization, not only next or even those which has gone by. Dr. Palshetkar, you one thing which you have been coming across almost on day-to-day basis, apart from being a gynecologist and kind of echoing the many things which Dr. Hema said, but at the same time something like infertility, which have always been kind of blamed on women traditionally. Now I'm sure that you people are starting a lot of tests where male are also coming in the clinic and all that, and now it is like a shared responsibility. It is not that one person is infertile. It is like kind of being distributed now. What is your take on your experience of seeing these women, these families who are kind of in a situation which is leading to a lot of kind of impact on their social health, on their emotional health, and their physical health overall? How do you see women health topic or the whole empowerment aspect is going to help us having a much more kind of justifiable environment for, or kind of more justifiable environment for our infertile couple or the women who are suffering from this, and the women health in general?
Thank you, Kamal. First of all, I'd like to thank IHW for inviting me. And I think the ball has been set rolling beautifully by Dr. Blossom and Dr. Hema. I've been working in this field for 30 plus years. And what I've realized is that whether it's infertility, everywhere the society needs to, prioritize women. In our society, the women are not prioritized. As you said, in infertility, they get blamed for the infertility. And what happens is we need to make a change in the mindset of the people. Whenever I see couples, I feel that the gender discrimination is so strong. It is really there, and we need to really change that mindset. And that change in mindset, we can actually do it by education, by awareness. As you said, 50% of the time the male is responsible for the infertility. So it's very important to get this under control. And what I realized over the years is that you need multiple stakeholders, to actually bring about this change, to bring about empowerment. And I feel that, as you took away points from each speaker, I feel gender discrimination is my point, which is the base. And if we go to correct that, I think we will really have a lot of difference. Like, the multiple stakeholders like women, even communities, especially in an infertile couple, the community really participates a lot. The infrastructure, everything included, has to work about it. And because when I realized this, that the woman has to be a priority, she's the center. When I was the Foxy president, I took a lot of help from Hema, took a lot of ideas from her, and I launched the V for Stree campaign, which was actually aimed at making Indian women safer, smarter, stronger. What I meant by that is safer is, we were looking at disease, we were looking at cancer, abuse, sexual abuse, domestic abuse. We see a lot of that in the women who come to us. And stronger is wellness, as Blossom was talking about wellness, then even pregnancy care, then the NCDs and mental health. I think these were the important aspects that we thought about. And smarter was, I think it's very important, is reproductive choices, the skilling and the empowerment. Now, we have to remember that our India has nearly 500 million women. And as you have been repeating, there is urban, there is a rural, there's a different need for different people. And, the challenges that I feel in seeing how we can overcome, I think there are multiple. especially, Hema talked about digitalization. I think it's fantastic. This COVID era has taught us digitalization. But let me tell you my experience. I went to Palshetkar, which is my village of my husband. I went there after 15 years, okay? And this is a small village surrounded beautifully by hills on three sides and a sea coast on the other, and the Konkan coast, beautiful, totally. And I was supposed to be on an award ceremony over there. Sorry, the internet did not work. So, that reaching of digitalization has to yet be achieved. Of course, it's fantastic. It is there, but it has to be achieved. The second thing that I feel is the government has changed a lot, because initially our focus of women's health was MMR. It was very high. We wanted to get it down. Now we've got it down. So it's not only focused on one aspect, as Hema said, that one aspect of life is pregnancy, but on all, like infertility, NCDs, adolescent, menopause. The government is actually looking at multi-pronged nutrition. So we are getting a more holistic picture. And also what I wanted to also say is that, women don't take, health checkups. I mean, we have fantastic health checkups, even for infertility. Like, I am a proponent where I tell women that if you want to be empowered, freeze your eggs so that you'll get the freedom to study, freedom to choose the guy you want to marry and, do what you want. But the health checkup is not there in them. And then these women, because we don't have it in schools, if we instill it in their minds in the school that health checkup is important, dental checkup is important, I think that's important. So, but the problem that India faces, do you know, in the world, there are 39,000 child brides every day in the world. So all these women are dropping out of school. They're becoming mothers. They are not really attending to it. And only 20% of this age group actually uses contraception. I think family planning is very, very important, because a woman, can decide her whole lifestyle trajectory, where she's going. And it can actually, and forget the lifestyle of the woman, the country will get empowered, because you'll get a workforce which is there. Otherwise, they produce children and they're out, they can't work. So I think all this actually matters. And the last thing which I really wanted to say was about the COVID. COVID has taught us a lot of things, everything. But remember that COVID has also pushed nearly 60% of the women towards poverty and unemployment. During the COVID era, women were like 20% more risk of unemployment as compared to a man. So I think COVID has hit women tremendously. And we need to really all get together and, make some policies which are women-centric. They have the woman in the center. The same thing as I do in infertility practice. I talk to the woman and I take away the blame from her, because that's so important for the man to understand, and the family which comes along. So all these things are really important. And I want to just go out on a very positive note that the union budget this year, 2021, was, I think, 64,180 crores for health. It's called Atma Nirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana. And I'm just praying, Hema, that 50% at least comes to women or more, because genuinely they are the center and they should be taken on. So my only message is turn women power into prosperity, and the country, as Hema was saying, will definitely prosper. So I think, Kamal, that's my take on what we can actually do.
Dr. Nandita, actually you have broadened the whole, horizon and bringing, the whole life cycle of of women into the picture, that we need to take care of them, their health, their social well-being. There should not be discrimination, the entire lifespan, rather than just which has been a traditional, conventional approach of taking care of our women at the time of
pregnancy.
So that's a wonderful message which you have also, I wanted to go to Amarpreet next, but you have since brought in importance of awareness and education. I think it would be, better to go to Nikky and then ask about that, how this part can help, actually not others making women empowerment, rather women themselves claiming their right place in the society. So Nikki, you, as a communicator and as somebody who has been kind of working so deeply in the society through the media, communicating, spreading awareness on diseases, how do you see that this awareness can lead to empowerment? How, by educating women about their maybe rights, about their, making them realize that they matter. The problem, I think, which I'm hearing from, from you people, that, many times our women themselves are not, considering or understanding the importance of, like they being the CEO of the family. Like the CEO of the corner office in a company, and maybe the heaviest paycheck, they are like the CEO of the family. So how do we make them empowered and realize their own impact, and maybe through the the work which you do through awareness and education and public mobilization on certain aspects?
Absolutely, Kamal. Thank you for bringing this point up. In fact, after this hearing Dr. Blossom and Dr. Nandita and others, so what I think that women need to empower themselves. I'll come to the awareness point. Women empowerment starts with women herself. Okay, when she is a CEO of a house, she has to look after herself first, rather than somebody has to empower her, or she has to empower herself, because their kids will be following her only. So it is important for her to empower. She needs to invest on herself first, and then invest on others. So if we talked about somebody was talking about the men are responsible for infertility, but they never stand. They don't have any say in family planning. They don't have any say when it comes to her own health. So it is important for them to talk on this, and a wider point on these areas. They eat last. Why? They can take decision. They want to eat last or they want to eat first. So they are the decision maker of their own life, but they don't take decisions. They are relying on others. And when it comes to awareness, awareness plays the very important role. So I'll give you a couple of examples that, with one of our clients, we did a campaign on breastfeeding rooms. Breastfeeding is such an important thing, but still women are so they are judged if they are breastfeeding their kids, infants in the public places. So these are the things, and we did a huge awareness campaign. We got an award also. It was an award winning campaign that we did. And this is something we need to keep. Such issues we need to spread awareness. Even like on breast cancer, we did a one campaign with IHW also on breast cancer awareness, where we talked widely that how women can, examine herself. We engaged a lot of influencer, and we, touch base around more than 50 lakh people on the breast awareness. People who are women who are staying in a metro cities, but women, what about those who are staying in a smaller areas, rural areas, and they are not aware? But such kind of awareness campaign really go deep in the roots, and it touch them, and it really gives you bigger impact. So awareness is certainly important, plays an important role, and we should keep spreading awareness, and the communication is the biggest and the best tool to spreading awareness on any specific diseases and on empowerment also. But I personally feel that woman needs to empower herself rather than waiting for somebody to empower her.
Thank you. Wonderful, Nikki, for highlighting this point, and that definitely, and I think this is becoming a light kind of consensus that women need to empower themselves. So I don't have any role in this now, because but definitely I think in the conventional society how we are living it, that definitely kind of everyone has to contribute to that. And thank you for highlighting this point of kind of something so essential and so natural and so important, like having the infrastructure, and then the availability of something like breastfeeding rooms or spaces in the public, in the workplaces, and something like this. So thank you for highlighting that. And now I think gives a little bit of more cue for me to go to Amarpreet and then try to understand that, as a veteran HR person, where she has been dealing with people, and she is like kind of not only empowering herself, but she is empowering so many other women whom she is kind of recruiting, and even empowering the men of the company.
Actually, she's one woman can change the entire behavior of her house. If her girl child is seeing her eating first and going for a regular health checkup, she will also learn the same. Yes. So it is important for mother to take such decisions and prioritize, as you said correctly. So it's
yes, that's also an important aspect. So Amarpreet, how do I kind of introduced you and I got to know that you have been extensively working on the area of inclusive workspaces, inclusive work culture, and also the women empowerment in between. So Amarpreet, how do you see workplaces, organizations, kind of creating an environment where women are being, kind of realized rather than supported, that their health matters, and anything and everything related to their health should be the collective, kind of responsibility of the organizations, of the families, of the societies, and for a lot of working women, being in the workspace is like spending half of their mid lifespan or major productive days. So how do you work towards inculcating that kind of environment for women to get back or to kind of realize that they matter first, their health matter first?
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much, Kamal and IHW for having me on this esteemed panel. I'm absolutely in awe of the panel members and the thoughts that everybody's shared on this great subject, which is absolutely the fact that women health matters and the very fact that women matter. I would like to really call it out and share with all of you. I think from our experience, let's say, if we slightly shift gears of the world at large, the society at large, the women at large, into workplaces now, and that's the space where I come from and representing the corporate industry on this panel. I think to a very, very large extent, I would say that, over the last, I come with close to 2 decades of experience, and I can very vividly divide that between 2 decades. The decade one, which was a period of time when people had not even heard of what is diversity, what is inclusion, what are we talking about in those spaces, versus today, how important that entire agenda is, how inclusion is far more important than just calling about a gender diversity. I mean, that's a data or that's a number. But unless and until the behavior is inclusive, it means nothing. It really means absolutely, a wasteful data-driven exercise, if you want to call it. So today, what's really happening in the corporate world, in the corporate spaces, is that you have dedicated roles and positions which talk about inclusion and diversity roles, and you can look that up on LinkedIn or look that up wherever, but you'll find that there are such dedicated roles within the organization which cater to the subject of inclusion and diversity. That's one. Number two is, while you said very rightly that 50% of our population, which is women, in population and in terms of our demographics. But unfortunately, it's less than 30%. In many sectors, it's just about 10% to 15% where they are employed. And all others are, unfortunately not able to, get into the space of employment. Whether you call it these glass door ceilings or whether we call it whatever, but the space is that we are not able to have that kind of environment created, and which is why the agenda of inclusion and diversity comes to the forefront. To give you a couple of examples, from the corporate world or from the workplaces, we are in a space of having built dedicated employee resource councils. And what are these councils talking about? Creating specially, women networks and networks within the organizations, which help people feel, that they are connected, they have a network, they can go and speak up, they can talk about their issues and have their conversations with women. Today, I would say that 5 years back, those women networks were only women networks. Today, we're opening it up to male allies. We're making sure that the male employees are equally a part of such women networks, and they're not ashamed of being a part of such networks. They are participating in these to understand what are those challenges, to understand what are those priorities that women need, and what kind of an inclusive behavior that we need to talk about. Going to the extent of, a line manager community. Every woman or a male member in the corporate world will have a line manager to report into. And 9 out of 10 times, these managers are the male managers. And when we talk about these managers, again, there's a need to sensitize them. You talk about maternity challenges, you talk about, menstrual cycles, you talk about a variety of situations and scenarios where women need flexibility. They need to, have the comfort and sometimes the requirement of working from home and things like that. In all these places, a line manager needs to be sensitive enough to understand and make sure that they are able to do the right thing, and they're able to, create that environment that a woman can thrive. They can continue to stay employed. Because again, when we talk about our attrition numbers, we talk about all of that. Unfortunately, it's just those first few years that women come, they work, they're absolutely enthusiastic. But the moment marriage hits them or there's childbirth, there is drop. They tend to leave the organizations and they go away on account of, I have other priorities and I have other things to look after. Now, all that is such an unfortunate space, which requires us to create that environment, requires us within the organizations to really create a space which is the inclusive space for all of them, and, offer the right environment, and they can not just feel included, but they can feel welcomed. They feel that maternity is not a stage where, and you would not believe me, that when we talk about maternity situations and scenarios, I make sure that, not a single women employee is penalized on account of maternity. They don't lose out on their promotions. They don't lose out on their increments in the year or the salary raises that have to be given just because you were out on maternity leave. And that's my first checkpoint within the organization, to make sure that, there is that equality which is there, and the life, milestone that any woman goes through, they have these aspects completely looked after. So the team is made sure that, on such elements of account, such, gender disbalance and those elements don't really come up. I think those are some very, very crucial aspects that we have to look at and we have to work with, when we talk about empowering our women and giving them that safe working environment, in all these aspects. Last but not the least, I would say that, this last year again has taught us a huge amount of things, in the year of pandemic, where it has been so important. We really wanted to hold tight to our women folk in particular and make sure that all these sessions, whether it pertains to their well-being, financial, physical, like Dr. Blossom was talking about, looking after yourself, all those were very, very important and crucial sessions which were well attended by women and well attended by the community at large, to make sure that the well-being is the top priority and the topmost agenda item. Because if they look after themselves, productivity, work, delivery, all of that will happen. Automatically, it'll happen if your mental space is in order and you are feeling good about, about different things. So I would say it's so important that, they look after their health. I'll end with a little anecdote. And, I heard so many of you speaking that women eat last, but I can share that as my own personal example. I have 2 children. And, ever since I have been on that journey of motherhood, it is me and my mother-in-law in my house who land up eating first, because when we lay out the table and the children are running around or wherever they are, and the 2 of us are super hungry, we are the first ones on the table and we get going no matter what it is, and the rest of the family follows. So that's a little bit of an anecdote for all of you to have a laugh over. But back to you, Kamal.
I think that should be the the new normal for everyone. If it need to be new, however, it should be something which is which should be the kind of a normal way of life, which is happening at your home. But unfortunately, the reality is that
I agree.
a large number of our women get to eat last. The wonderful Amarpreet for bringing such a important insights, and how you are ensuring that women who, when they go to a workspace, they are taken care of well, and they are taken care of well at all stages of their life, and especially something the special phases of like pregnancy, and then ensuring that they are that their co-workers are sensitized enough to deal with these kind of the special requirements which women have, and the work environment, infrastructure, policies, everything support that. That's wonderful to hear that. So the consensus, as I said, that in the this round of questions, or maybe to hear all of you, was definitely that women matter, and they matter more than others sometime, because they have a very, very special role in this whole in the civilization, in the life and everything. So before I go to hear from all of you more about that, what should be the way forward, and we are just kind of having not much time left, maybe 13 more minutes in this discussion, because the next discussion or the panel, which is again on a very, very important topic of the cancers, so something which has become such a major problem and one of the major killer, and especially of women, and many times, despite being it's a largely preventive, taking a big toll, and that session is coming up next. So, but before that, one excuse which I have been always, kind of coming across from women, around my myself or in my life, that they're so busy sometime, and they are they feel that they are not able to take care of themselves because there's so much to do. And they have a work, they have a family, they have kids, they have to take care of so many things, and in that they're not able to take care of themselves or keep a tab on their health. All of you here are super busy women, and I'm sure but at the same time, I'm sure you must be able to take care of health somehow, and that is what has helped you reach wherever you people are. So for the sake of so many general audience who will be watching this and who are watching this, if I may get to hear from each one of you very briefly, that how do you take care of your health, and how do you ensure that your health matters for you and for your family? Dr. Kochhar.
Yeah. Now, I think I really do take care of my health, and especially this COVID time, I do take care of my health. Like, I do take my vitamins and my minerals that are given to me, which I feel are very, very important. I exercise regularly, and of course, I do yoga, which is something that's an internal and external kind of an exercise, which I do, and pranayam. During this COVID type, pranayam has really helped me and given me a whole lot of energy that I do need. These are the things that I start off with, and I do. And then of course I spend some time meditating, because I think again meditation is important, and I really see, and not the meditation where it is a spiritual kind of meditation. It is where I go into myself and I kind of ask myself, really, what am I going to do today? And the most important thing, I must tell you what I do every day, is I laugh. And I heard this when I went sometime I went to a conference, and there was this person who told us that laughing. And so 5 times, and I think I'll just demonstrate that to you. It's very simple. Get up in the morning and take a deep breath and then laugh. Now, please, everyone start. Do that 5 times. I just do it two and I'm really happy. And do that 5 times, but don't, like they say, don't laugh, ha 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 ha, and wake up everyone. They'll be getting at you. You've got to do it very quietly. So this is really what I do. And I do, very important, I take my checkups, because I feel that is really going to tell me if there's anything wrong or not. So checkups, and this is what I do. And of course, laughing, being happy, living in the moment, and doing these other things. This is really what keeps me going, honestly, right through the day.
Wonderful, Dr. Kochhar, and definitely, and this is a message for all the women who are watching, and then telling that they don't get time for, maybe a small duration of exercise, or to go their annual, monthly checkup or whatever. Look at Dr. Kochhar here. See, despite being the, such a busy person, running such a big business, and most of the women who are here and who might be watching us would have seen Blossom Kochhar products somewhere, in some nice, outlets in the malls where they go. But still, Dr. Kochhar is able to do a whole range of.
It takes about 20-30 minutes, half an hour. That is my time. So that's what
so that, so everyone can have that my time, and that's where I think some of the biggest takeaway from this session, more than what we are going to talk about policies and changing the whole society. I think if each one of us and each one of you, and especially the women, because I don't have much role in this, as they have already kind of said that women can take care of themselves. So if each one of you are going to make sure that you take care of yourself, I think, and they think we can reach to the solution of the problem which we are facing for decades. Dr. Hema, how do you take care of yourself?
Okay, before I respond to that, Kamal, you have a huge role to play, because you are the one who's got us all together here on one platform to discuss about a variety of issues, to make us introspect and also make us vouch for the fact that we will do better than what we've already done. So thank you again on behalf of all the lovely women around us.
It's very kind of you, Dr. Hema, to highlight my role as well. But
yeah, the only man in this program. we appreciate that. Thank you. So, when Blossom said laugh, many times, Nandita will also agree, we just smile, and it reminds me of grin and bear it. Because nobody likes a woman in the house to have a sad face. The children don't like it. The husband also says, oh, you're not smile. So, oftentimes, many a times, she has learned to adjust and adapt to too many things, and she serves with a smile. That is again a cliched kind of a sentence, because she doesn't really always show what she's going through, what goes on beneath the calm exterior. So the actual proactive laughing, I think that is one mechanism of an exercise which we must guide everybody to do, because we're always open to trying new things, and why not? And then how do I take it? Because, there are many things which are theoretical, which we're expected to do. And somebody said, oh, you're so worked up about women's healthcare. What is the one thing that keeps you awake in the night, Dr. Hema? I said, nothing. I sleep very well within few seconds. And because I need to wake up with renewed energy, with fresh thoughts, to see what better I can do, what is my bit that I can contribute the next day. So that is the thing, that calmness of the mind, and just, having enough rest to the mind is so very crucial. Preventing illness and promoting wellness. We cannot quick fix it at 40 plus. My message, not only to the women, but also the mothers to be, because the calcium has to be built up before they're 20 years old. And then, that's a deposit. That's a deposit of health that they have. mother has to take care of herself because the programming, it all starts in the womb, and then it has to be done in a manner that it should. So there are a lot many more far reaching, methodologies to keep one healthy, because right from the start, whatever you have done before also counts. And then once you get mature enough to get into yoga, meditation and all, if you just only start there, it becomes quick fix, it's too late, there's only this much you can do, and then there are limitations. So the message is more towards how to groom our children, both boys and girls, to get them to the pink of health by the time they become adults, and realize that health is wealth and they have to keep at it forever and forever and forever. That's my message.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hema. Now I have the secret behind your, kind of evergreen, ever energetic. I think in ISW Council programs, a lot of people would have heard you in variety of topics. And always, whenever I have got a chance to interact with you, I have always found a very energetic and enthusiastic. And as I said in the beginning itself, that when you speak, it gives energy. So, the secret of that energy is sleeping well. That's what you highlighted. So that's wonderful. So all the women, who are listening to this program, do sleep well. That is also an important, I think, right, and then the privilege available to everyone, the whole humanity, and everyone should take care, the maximum kind of use of it. Dr. Palshetkar, you have already told that you come from that very scenic, we people live in, kind of highly polluted and some of the most polluted cities of the world, but you come from that kind of scenic background. Apart from that, what keeps you so alive and healthy, and to pursue your such a major mission of ensuring that the care reaches to as many infertile couple as possible?
I think the key, of course, is what Blossom and Hema have all said, but I think the key is happiness. And to have happiness, you have to have a satiety center. A lot of people don't have it. So I would urge everybody, I see a small, I'm sitting here, I'm enjoying, I'm really happy right now. The small things in life, a beautiful rose. My husband, the other day, he just came on Valentine's Day and he gave a rose to all the women in the house, including the help. So that was so sweet. That is what small things, enjoy it, everything. I think in my life, I'm on the treadmill 24/7, meaning treadmill of life. I'm not an exercise person. I try to do my 10,000 steps every day, but each person's fitness is different. The way of getting fit. So I do 10,000 steps per day, and I try to diet as much as I can. I have a sweet tooth, unfortunately. So I have to really balance that out. But what I do for myself, this is something which I've done for the last 30 years, and I learned it from my father. For every 4 months, I just disappear. I go into it's a naturopathy institute. I go to Bangalore, or I find places like that where I just prioritize myself. There's nothing else around me. It's me, my body, myself. And I think these 8 days of going away, rejuvenating, has really helped me with this hectic lifestyle. Because, whatever you say, I cannot exercise every day. I cannot. Sometimes I'm waking up at 6 o'clock and leaving. I'm coming at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We have a socially very hectic life. Bombay is crazy. The parties on Mondays and Tuesdays also. So it's really crazy trying to keep up a regimen. And maybe I'm not as disciplined as these ladies over here. But so this is how that's why I wanted to give you a different take, because there is a group of people who are disciplined, who will do exercise, nutrition, everything daily. And there is a group like me who's happy, who will, of course, not, in moderation, but take those 8 days out, rejuvenate, and satiety center, Kamal. That's so important, and don't have negative people around you. They're like, I call them vampires of happiness. They just suck that happiness out of you. So I think it's very important to be in a positive environment. And, Hema and me teach youngsters. So we have a lot of young people, 20s, 30s, you get so much energy. And I feel as if I'm 20. So, that also matters. So that's my mantra of life, to keep healthy.
That mantra is also very, very important, and I'm sure it will be relatable for a large number of or a big community, and that's wonderful that you are making or keeping a balance on in all these things. Amarpreet, how does it go to you? Go for you. In fact,
I think Kamal, just to add on to what the others have shared, I'm not going to take a lot of time. I know we're running out of it completely, but for me, it's unlike Nandita. I don't have a sweet tooth, so I'm thankful about that at least. I don't have one, so I really try eating healthy, sleeping well, and stay calm through yoga. So I think that's what I look after. That's the way I look after myself.
Wonderful. I can see a cat also.
Oh, so cute. That is one way to remain healthy. Pet.
This is another way of staying healthy. Nikky, your quick mantra about what do you do to kind of energetic as ever?
Yes, everybody has covered most the points, but same things. I eat well. Exercise is something which I do regularly, 1 hour daily, and 10,000 steps. Not with Dr. Nandita, but yes, I also follow the same. And sleep well. One thing I finish, I get up early. I get complete me time before my kids wake up. So that's the one thing I follow. Before my kids, I always get the full 3 to 4 hours me time.
Wonderful.
Wow.
That's great. So I think we covered. We have not been covered since the women health and women health matters is such a vast topic. I don't think it can be covered in a 1 hour time. But covered the most functional part of it, and I'm sure that the message which has come out of it is definitely going to help a lot of people and the women and all those women who are watching this program. They should definitely see that the kind of super busy women we have here, they are all doing what best can be done for the society, for the community, for the family, and for themselves. And they are staying healthy and they are prioritizing their health before many other things. So do take a lesson from this. And before we, kind of as we're already running a little late, but before we actually kind of move on to the next session, which is very, very important session, which is talking about, the cancer among women and how this malady is increasing and how we can protect our women by early diagnosis, early screening, and so many other preventive aspects which are needed to be encouraged among our women. So before we go to that, and my colleague Anisha Nayar Dhawan will be moderating that with a wonderful set of esteemed speakers, I would request my team to, if we can play a small video of what Sapath is all about, which I highlighted before we started this session, and which Dr. Hema also highlighted. Sapath, which talks about bringing back women health into the center of the policy, center of the family, and ensuring that every woman, every child get their due, health support, nutrition. We can look for, we can create, or we can, kind of achieve an anemia-free society or the nation, which can create a foundation of healthy country, and we can really build something so aspirational like Ayushman Bharat or a Swasth Bharat for everyone, everywhere. So if my team can play that small video, and beyond that video, the session will be taken up by my colleague and media personality, Anisha Nayar Dhawan.
Thank you, Kamal. Namaste.
that commemorates the achievements of women in the country. Now, 8th of March every year, women may be showered with gifts and congratulatory messages in recognition of the contribution to the society. But we at the IHW Council believe that good health is the biggest gift for a woman to enjoy not just on one day of the week, but 365 days of the week. And ladies, you don't need to be obligated to anyone for this present. You can gift yourself good health by being aware, by being more proactive, and taking your health in your own hands. Now, in this panel discussion, we're going to be talking about cancer in females and more specifically on breast and gynecological cancers. Now, more women than men are diagnosed with cancer in India, which is a marked contrast to the worldwide age standardized cancer incidence of a 25% higher chance in men than in women. Now, cumulatively, breast, cervical, ovarian, and uterine cancer account for more than 70% of cancers in women in India. During this panel discussion, we will discuss symptoms, screening, treatment of various gynecological cancers in women. So please welcome our esteemed panelists who are going to be talking about this issue on this topic of discussion. Please welcome Dr. Meenu Walia, Director and HOD, Medical Oncology, Max Institute of Cancer Care, Parparganj, Vaishali. We're very happy to have with us Dr. Seema Gulia, Professor and Consultant Medical Oncologist, Tata Memorial Center, Mumbai. Dr. Bhavna Parekh, Surgical Oncologist, Sterling Cancer Hospital, Ahmedabad. We have Neeti Lekha Chhabra, Founder, Yes for Life. We have Neerja Malik, Global Cancer Ambassador and Cancer Counselor. She's an inspirational speaker as well. So we have all of these inspiring ladies with us. And in a little bit from now, we'll be joined by Dr. Bhavna Siroi, Lead Medical Oncologist at Apollo Proton Cancer Center, who will be joining us in just a few minutes. A warm welcome to all of you ladies. And it's so nice to have all of you with us today. Nikky, let me come to you first. You know, women are self-absorbed and to a large extent self-sufficient as well. They feel that they have it all and they also have a lot of responsibilities. But you know, chronic diseases like cancer are rising in our country, and the statistics show that more women are getting these cancers, and the specific women-related cancers, the burden is quite high. So what do you think should be the mindset for women to, take health in their own hands? Should it be to get out of this denial that it's not going to happen to me, I'm too good, I don't do the wrong things, it'll never happen to me?
Hi, so thank you so much for having me on board. I think, while I agree that a lot of women today are becoming self-dependent, they've taken up roles outside of their families and they're working and everything, but still they are not taking care of their health on their own. And like you said, there are a number of reasons, one including, of course, that they are in denial, but denial comes when they already have a symptom, So if there is a symptom, they may feel, that no, cancer can't happen to us. We've been very good mothers, sisters, etc. We've always done save for others and, things like those. But more than that, I think we need to cater this issue even before any symptom to anyone arises. Because it is a mindset, that even while for women who may be working, who may be putting, full office hours, or maybe putting all the hours into being a homemaker, they're not taking care of themselves. And I think it is time that instead of relying on husbands or other members of the family to keep telling them that they need to take care of their own health, we need to start taking responsibility for our own health. And even if it is with the thought process, that, okay, I don't have time because I have a job, I have a family to look after. I mean, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I can tell all of you that unless you're healthy, there's no office work, there's no taking care of family, there's nothing that can be done. Right? So to me, denial comes at a very later stage at the time of symptoms, but we need to understand one thing, that only if we are healthy would we be able to do everything for which we are right now putting our health at a back burner.
Right. So our health is important, and we ourselves should embrace that thought that this is the first number one priority, because if you don't address this, then everything else falls in disarray. Dr. Meenu Walia, when women come to you and they are diagnosed with cancer, in your experience, how have they come to this stage? Is it because they were aware of something different in their bodies? Was it because their family thought that something is wrong, it needs to be investigated? In your experience, what have you seen? Dr. Walia, would request you to please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hi. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
So before I answer this question, Anisha, I would like to reiterate a point which has been very beautifully conveyed by Nikky. Something further than that, why do I think that when in our country neglect their health? So a very important thing what I see is the difference between Indian women and most of the women outside, probably I'll say the Western world, is for an Indian lady, everything else is more important than her own health. So, I mean, that is the way they treat themselves. So whether it is sister-in-law's marriage, or it is a mother-in-law's health, or it is a husband's promotion, or her kids' exams, everything else is much more important. So you see so many of these ladies when they come with breast cancer. So these are months, we know that. Like for example, March every year, those you will be having your the most kids will be having final exams. So you will not find many ladies coming with cancer. But as soon as the exams are over, the next month you see many ladies coming, and they must be having the symptoms much before that, but because the kids were having exams, they did not get the time. So these are what I really find is something, I mean, we can actually predict that when we are going to see more breast cancers. So immediately, I mean, in the months after the exams, you will always see more breast cancer. And so many other ladies also come, and then whenever you ask them why they have not been able to come earlier, so maybe they were busy with the husband's transfer or something else, and these kind of things they come. And another very important thing is like something which I'll say just in my OPD, just before I logged in, I mean, you see educated Indian women also, people who are aware of things. Like she was a principal of a school, of a government school, and this lady comes with a huge mass in the breast. And when the question is, how come? I mean, it was not a small size, it was not a 2 centimeter lump. It was somewhere around 8 or 9 centimeter, huge mass in the breast. And the lady is coming with such a huge protuberant, almost a fungating mass, an educated lady. And when you ask, how come you're coming in such an, I mean, and she has been having that lump for almost 8 or 9 months. So pre-COVID it started. She has been having the lump. She knew about the limb and she has not come. And the moment you ask, why is it? The simple answer was very innocently, the problem in nahi tha. The lump was not paining. So that is what it is, because unfortunately, I'll rather say unfortunately, because if you have pain in your dental area, in the tooth, you will be there with the dentist the next morning because it really aches very badly. But most cancers are painless to begin with. And that is the reason, even if you have a painless lump, you generally, because the pain is not there, it is not causing you any problem. So I always use that tagline, painless doesn't mean that it is harmless. So if it is painless, it definitely doesn't mean that it is harmless. Coming to your question, you wanted to know, most of the times they present with this is how we see, they present with a lump. So there may be a lump in the breast, or they are having some abnormal bleeding after intercourse. So these are the common signs all these ladies they present with. Either when breast cancers most commonly present with a lump, and sometimes the lump is also there for a long time and they're presenting with the lump, which is actually now the pus drainage has started, or it has started paining and something like this.
Right. I can really fathom the frustration that you're going through, Dr. Walia, that why women who are educated and, who know that they may have a problem, why do they don't present themselves early enough? And that is another reason for, the high morbidity rate as well in our country, because women take it easy, or whatever be the reasons, they don't present themselves in time. We have Ms. Neerja Malik with us, and she is an inspirational speaker, so I'll come to her. Ma'am, our doctors on our panel are here. We have survivors like you. And, the doctors are here to serve us, to guide us, to tell us. But I feel a little sorry, and that when they're doing such a great job, there are women who do not prioritize themselves, and then they present themselves so late, knowing that something is wrong. What's happening here? Why can't women think for themselves? And how serious do you view cancer in our society?
Well, first of all, the two ladies who spoke before me are absolutely right. We do have a habit, the women, of keeping ourselves on the back burner. And we do, if anything happens to mother-in-law, father-in-law, kid, husband, we go rushing, like a Wonder Woman, and take them to the hospital, get things organized. But when it comes to me, nothing's the matter. I don't have time. It'll go away. I'll see to it next week. So let me warn you, Anisha, that there is a huge global movement. And all of October, I must admit that I ran a campaign on Facebook where I asked for pledges that you tell more than 10 people about breast cancer. You will spread the awareness. You will talk about cure. You will talk about treatment. And actually, there is a video that I got made on self-breast examination. And it went quite viral. So I'm gradually, slowly and steadily, we are getting there. Now, talk about me. There have been 40 cases of cancer in 3 generations in my family, right? So I was alert. I was aware. I felt a chuban. I felt a twinge. And that alerted me. So I was able to go to the hospital and immediately got diagnosed. But I want to also tell you, Anisha, I may take a little time. There is positivity all around us. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, left breast, in 1998, 23 years back, Friday the 13th of February, 98. So I've completed 23 years. I started counseling cancer patients the same year because I have done my graduation in social work and I've done my B.Ed, and I have the gift of the gab. And what is I have up my sleeve is, if someone turns to me, you turn to a cancer patient and you say, be positive. And they say, do you know what I'm going through? Do you know what my family is going through? And I say, yes, I do. I've been there, done that twice. And you know something? If I can do it, so can you. So that is what I work with. This is my passion, my dedication, and I promise you, we are getting out of the dark ages, and I tell them 3 things. 1, cancer is only a word, nothing more, nothing less. 2, think of your treatment not as the be end of life, but think of it as a short detour. It will get you back on track. And 3, laughter is the best medicine. It is given only 25% chances of survival. If I went to America or France, because they had started stem cell research, and I couldn't go because my twins were only 7. I wept for 3 days, and then the rest is history. Give yourself a goal. I said, I will live for my twins. And whatever I've experienced over the last 23 years, I've put that not only into practice, but also spread the word. I call myself a conqueror. So if you hear the word cancer is conquerable, I am the one who started it. I keep saying, face, don't fight cancer, because that's what my father told me 23 years back. So we are improving, and it's thanks to these wonderful doctors who are also passionate about their job to help women out of it. We'll get there. I promise you, Anisha. Let me give the others a chance to talk.
Seriously, it's really inspirational what you're saying. We can do it. Dr. Suroi, she's with us now. I want to check with you. You know, breast cancer is something that Dr. Walia said you can feel it. There are some cancers that women have that are insidious, you would not even understand. Even though there are screenings for cervical cancer, women may not get it done. Ovarian cancers are deep-seated and troublesome. So what is the first step that women should take? I decide that my health is in my hand and I want to take it up. I don't want to leave it for the last moment. What is the first step they should take? What are the symptoms they should keep an eye out for? Can health checkups help in prevention of the disease? What would you advise?
Thank you, Anisha. It's lovely to see you, Neerja, and Bhavna and Minu as well. So, and congratulations to IHW for organizing this, because I think talking about cancer itself destigmatizes cancer, I feel. And like you said, you know, your health is in your hands. Women can, what we need to do is know about our body. That's very important. What is normal for you? So, you know, whether it is your period frequency, whether you're having them every 28 days and then, you know, you are bleeding after 2 weeks, or you've stopped bleeding, you've become postmenopausal, and then you start spotting or have bleeding. So don't listen to your body is very, very important. Don't ignore something that your body is telling you, you know. So for breast cancer, I would suggest that, you know, learn to self-examine your breasts. Very, very important. Know what is normal for you. You know, it's a simple thing. Stand in front of a mirror, see if your nipples are at the same level and, you know, the contours. I think that when you go on the Google, you will see a lot of breast self-exam. If you don't know, if you have doubts, if you feel a new lump, or sometimes, you know, ladies have a painless, they feel that I have this lump, but it is painless. I've had it for 2-3 years, you know, it's nothing. And, you know, when we are younger, we have lumpy breasts. So understand what is normal for you. So you may have a lump, but I would say 90% it's going to be normal. It is not going to be cancer. But unless you know what is normal for you, how will you know when, you know, when something else happens and the lump starts increasing in size, or let us say the moles on your body. So, you know, I have a sister who has a lot of moles on her face, and suddenly, you know, she started developing more moles, and one mole started increasing in size, and, you know, she was itching and bled as well. So don't ignore signs from your body. That would be my main advice, whether it could be anything. If you have a cough, or, you know, suddenly your voice has become hoarse, and, you know, you're talking on the phone, and, you know, I said that, you know, the voice is hoarse. Now it could be hoarse laryngitis after a common cold or a cough, which all of us have, you know, but you will not have it for lasting for more than 4 weeks or 6 weeks. You will get better. Your body's immune system will fight the infection, you know, especially if you're fit. But if you're not able to get rid of it, you know, you've got chronic laryngitis, it could be a small nodule in the larynx. A singer who's been singing for a long time suddenly, you know, realizes that she's not able to sing as well. And, you know, she had a laryngoscopy done and they found a tiny nodule in her vocal cord, and the cancer was detected early. So I would suggest anything. You have unexplained weight loss suddenly, you know, but you're eating normally. Now it could be simple diabetes, or it could be conscious weight loss as well, you know, which you're doing with your diet. But don't ignore anything. You're anemic. You know, it could be colorectal cancer as well, or it could be simply because you're bleeding heavily, and, you know, that needs to be addressed. So that would be my advice, that for women, you know, take charge of your own health, challenge yourself, you know. Examine yourself at least once a month, 5 days after your period. Or if you're postmenopausal, a set time of the month.
All right. So what you're saying is that women need to be in tune with their bodies and make sure they hear themselves. Dr. Seema Gulia is also with us. We've heard Neerja ma'am, we've heard Nikky. and they've said that it's important to prioritize yourself. But what about the fear that cancer brings? You may just suspect something and dismiss it because you're fearful. In your experience, do you think, Dr. Gulia, that fear sometimes paralyzes women to take action? Is cancer something to be fearful of? We have survivors sitting with us. Neerja ma'am is here for so many years now. Is it something to fear, or is there a stigma attached to it?
Conqueror, not a survivor, conqueror.
A conqueror.
Yeah, Anisha, you're absolutely right that these are the two main reasons why women don't present to us early. One is the fear and second is the stigma. The word cancer is so dangerous that people think that, oh my God, now I have got cancer, I'm going to die. So they should understand that cancer is treatable. It's not like that it cannot be treated. So it is treatable. So that message should go. And obviously that stigma associated with this cancer, that causes them to neglect their health. Oh my God, I am feeling something, but I will not go and visit the doctor because what if I'm diagnosed with cancer? If she's an elderly lady, she's worried about her. If she has a daughter, she's worried about her daughter. She's worried about her future. So there are many social things that are attached with it. So if we can convey this message to the general public that there is no stigma associated with the cancer and cancer is treatable. We have in our panelists also, we have conquerors with us. So that story should be shared more with them so that they get this strength that yes, we can also win this battle.
Definitely. And this is the reason why we're talking about it, so that we create the awareness, not just about what to keep a watch out for, being in tune with your body, but not to be fearful of cancer because medicine has advanced a lot and we've come very far. Dr. Bhavna Parikh, you're a surgical oncologist. Now, for women when they present themselves with cancer to you, what have you seen in your experience over the years? Are women coming in more early now? Is it still the same? Because in our country, we have this tendency where cancer patients present themselves late. And even if, for whatever reasons they are late, could they have a better prognosis because, science has now improved and cancer treatment itself has improved?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for this invitation, and I'm very happy to see two medical oncologists, one from Tata Memorial, another Dr. Bhavna Shirovi. I keep hearing her name a lot, but first time we are in a common platform. Being a surgical oncologist, I started my practice since 2011. I worked in GCRI and Tata Memorial as well, and I started my training in surgical oncology since 2004. So what I've seen in female cancer is previously we used to see locally advanced and metastatic disease. Now it has come down to a early stage. Now we can see more of a microcalcification, small lesions less than 2 centimeter of a size, but still an average tumor in a breast, which I see regularly, is around 4 centimeter, almost as lemon size. But thanks to mammography and all investigation modalities, especially available in Gujarat. Right now in Gujarat, we have got every district has got a one mammography facility. Either by trust or either it is run by any hospital or any corporate hospital. I started my practice in 2011. That time there was no mammography machine available. So I have to call every patient to Ahmedabad and get the mammography done. But now the scenario has changed since last 10 years. Few of the government health systems also worked a lot. So breast cancer has been diagnosed a lot. And in younger patient, what I see is any patient who's around 17, 18 years, if she types a breast pain and the Google takes her to a cancer. So I see a lot of younger patients with the breast pain. There is nothing significant, but they always worried about the malignancy. I see breast and endometrial cancer as an urban disease. Majority of urban female develop this. And very unfortunate about the CS cervix, which we see in stage 3 disease, mostly in stage 2B onwards or stage 3. Unfortunately, if you do a pap smear and if there is any atypical cells or a dysplasia kind of a condition, then cancer takes around 10 years of a time to develop CS cervix. And pap smear is almost a office procedure. It can be done without any kind of pain. but we see very less early cervical cancer, and the burden of cervical cancer in India is too much, especially in the rural areas. The reason for that is mainly happens to a lower socioeconomical status. Not only the stigma and not only the fear, but the finance is also one of the important thing, that they fear coming to hospital. And sometimes if I do a pervaginal examination, I see a lot of blood coming out of it. Patients are not coming with the undergarments, and we have to provide them even a sanitary pad also. This situation happens in a village kind of a condition. But over the period of time, because of all the modalities, media, programs like which we are doing today, we are getting earlier cancers also. A lot of early female-oriented cancer, we can see it.
All right. Dr. Bharas Roy, I want to come to you. Now, Dr. Parekh has spoken about the incidence of cervical cancer in the rural areas. And she also mentioned that in Gujarat, there are mammograms possible in every district because now the facility itself is improving. You have been, Tata Memorial has been doing work in cancer for decades now. And I believe you have come out with a system which is a cost-effective and mass and scale that can be used to detect cervix cancer early. Could you talk about that? What has been your experience? And can it be really scaled up?
So I think I'll have Seema take this as well. So I think I'm very proud of the fact that this huge study which was started in early 90s, where, it was a cluster randomized trial, where half the patients had a clinical breast exam and half the patients did not. So for a resource-limited country like ours, it is not possible to do mammograms in the villages. It's not just the cost, but we also have younger women who are diagnosed with breast cancer. And mammogram is not the right test in younger women because younger women have dense breasts. And, it may just give false reassurance and not pick up the cancer. So what this study showed was, that ladies had a clinical breast exam every 2 years for, and those ladies who had 4 exams, over an 8-year period, the risk of dying from breast cancer was 30% less in postmenopausal women. So in a simple clinical breast exam by a trained healthcare worker, not even a doctor, what Tata Hospital did is my wonderful colleagues, Vani Parmar, Neeta Nayar, and, Dr. Badwe, Dr. Indranil Mitra, what they did was they picked up girls who were 10th class pass from those villages and trained them to do a clinical breast exam. And then actually certified them, endorsed them as well that they were doing it right. Especially if a lady had a lump, they checked to see whether the lady had a lump. So it is so simple to do, so easy to do, so easily scalable all across the country. So I think you cannot take away breast self-exam. Clinical breast self-exam is a lady can do herself, A simple lump you feel, you go to a doctor, have it checked out, especially you felt for the first time. Clinical breast exam, I would say once a year. In fact, the government of India in 2016 has launched this. From 30 years onwards, you can have a clinical breast exam by a trained healthcare worker, and they trained, trained ANMs within the villages and community health centers where you can go and have your clinical breast exam done, And, Tata study shows that even if you have it once in every 2 years, it is effective in younger women as well if you end up going to all your tests.
Okay. Dr. Seema Gulia, could you come in and talk about the processes you develop for screening of cervical cancer at Tata Memorial Hospital as well?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes, as Dr. Bhavna has mentioned that this study for breast cancer was started in 1998. Similarly, the study for cervical cancer was also started in 1998. And it was also a cluster randomized trial where the Anganwadi workers, they were trained to examine the cervix with the help of acetic acid. That is a visual inspection, that they will apply the acetic acid over the cervix. If there is a pre-cancerous lesion or a cancerous lesion, that will change the color. And so that they can identify and they can refer those ladies to a healthcare facility. In this way, the patients were diagnosed at an early stage. So in cancer, the key thing is that the cancer is treatable if it is detected early. If it is detected at a later stage, then it can be controlled. It cannot be cured, particularly in stage 4 disease. For the cervical cancer also, this visual inspection by acetic acid, it has shown to reduce mortality by the tune of 25 to 30%. So both these studies, the breast cancer study has recently been published and that is being acclaimed world over. Similarly, the cervical cancer study, when it was presented in one of the prestigious meeting, which we call it as ESCO meeting, Dr. Sastry presented that study and he got a standing ovation for that.
Right. So, Nikky, we are seeing that, science has made progress. We are finding innovative ways to scale it up in our country where resources may be limited as well. So, to stop the spread of cancer in its track, what needs to be done now? Is it awareness, talking about it, making it less of a demon? Should that be the first thing to do? What to your mind should be the first port of call now?
See, one thing, of course, is that, like what everybody has been talking about, that investigations or screenings done at an early stage is what will help to get it diagnosed at an early stage. But in order to even have women go to the doctors to get themselves screened, what is important is, one, that fear of cancer has to go out. I am running my NGO called Yestro Life, and we deal with a lot of breast cancer patients. And I know of so many women who have fainted in doctors' offices, when they were told that they've been diagnosed with cancer. So that's the amount of fear that we have. And I feel that somehow the society is also responsible for it. You see any movie wherein they have to show a patient dying, bang, it's cancer. Any movie wherein a doctor is saying, aapke paas zyada time nahi hai, you already know they're talking about cancer, right? Wherever pity has to be aroused, it's cancer. And honestly, at the time when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was 31 years old. And thankfully, no family history, so I had never ever given cancer a thought. And I was so naive, I didn't even know that a breast surgeon even existed, So when I found a lump, I actually Googled what kind of a doctor to go to if you have a breast lump. So that is and I am a PhD, so fairly educated, I would consider. But that is the amount of lack of awareness we have because nobody had ever told me anything about it, So I think that this knowledge has to pass on. And I have seen so many people, even when I tell them that, okay, come, let me talk to you about cancer, people don't want to hear about cancer as much. But I do see, what Neerja was talking about, that I have also seen a change in how it was 8 years back when I started to do this work to how it is today. Because there are so many groups of women who are coming to us today and telling us, that they want us to organize a breast cancer awareness session. While when I started, I used to, send out 100 emails to receive only 1 or 2 answers back. And these are all free of charge sessions. So more and more, and I think one thing which is very important is for conquerors or winners to talk about their stories in the open. One of the reasons, whether we're talking about fear, whether we're talking about denial, whether we're talking about stigma, is that if if anybody who has a symptom feels or, has heard a story of a winner, that she was able to beat it, and is able to recover from it and lead a normal life, trust me, that is going to give so much of hope to people to go to the doctors at the right time. So more that, breast cancer winners or even winners of other types of cancers can go out, talk in public, share their stories, do such events like the one that we're having today. I think that fear and stigma will go down and automatically the amount of awareness will increase and therefore chances for early detection.
Right. Neerja ma'am, you were laughing when Nikky talked about, the scenes from movies and, how cancer is depicted. But we also have cancer survivors who, maybe mainstream influencers who are now talking about it. We have Sahila Kashyap, who's written a book, Manisha Korala, Lisa Ray. So we do have some people who talk about their cancer journeys. And of course, there are some who don't make it. Nikky feels that she has seen a little bit of a change over the last few years. What have you experienced, and how should we get the sensitivity about cancer in our society without making a hawa out of it or making it a stigma?
Actually, you've used the right word, hawa. So in the last 23 years, I may have given more than 23,000 talks. Companies, schools, colleges, and I do not talk about how depressing it was, or how terrifying my treatment was, my surgeries, my radiations. In fact, I give it a flip completely. And what I tell them is, okay, let's start with fear. What is fear? False emotions appearing real, or fantasized experiences appearing real. And I tell you, in our Hindu philosophy, we have phenomenal examples. So I tell them, I said, if there is a rope and you fear, you will think of the rope as a snake. But if you're not fearful, you'll kick it because you'll see it for the rope it is. So when I go to schools, colleges, companies, and by the way, a lot of, I had a 2-hour talk yesterday, I'm talking today, I'm talking tomorrow, I have 2 talks day after, and on the 14th, it carries on. This is what I convey. That listen, 100 years back, our various relatives went through cancer, and they have burdened us and our thinking with the fear. But let me tell you, and I look at them and I say, let me tell you, and this is the truth. 1998, I had a surgery. When I was diagnosed with right breast in 2004, it was not a surgery, it was a microsurgery. When I had chemotherapy in 98, I puked every day, I puked 2 fat worms. When I had it in 2004, I didn't puke even once. Because instead of, anisette, we had granny set. So I made fun of it. I said, ab wo dawayon ki nani aa gayi hai. The medicines that are used to control the side effects of chemotherapy are better, as is the chemotherapy. So this is how I talk to them, and I tell them that, listen, if I can do it, so can you. Stigma. A young girl who had a young child, and she had a small, babe in arms. Do you know what? The babe in arms was 6 months, and she said she never used to touch her child. She didn't allow her husband to touch her, or the small boy to touch her. She would just give it to her mother. And it was like this. It took me more than 3 weeks to make her realize that, listen, cancer is not communicable. So we have to accept the fact that they have these ideas deeply embossed in their psyche. And we have to make that effort. And now, guess what? She called me up from the hospital some years back and she said, I've got a 3rd child and I'm absolutely fine. And I can see her, she's chai hui hai Facebook pe. And that is what helps. You get to be normal. I've met very important directors in the South because I live in Chennai. Right now I'm in Mumbai in my mother's and sister's house. And I tell them, why don't you make a movie on a cancer patient who has conquered it? And one more thing I need to tell you, respected doctors, that in 23 years, I have come to the conclusion that it is also a state of mind. And it is my mind. To such an extent, I can assure you people that the work I do, the amount of people I've touched, the duas I've got, I can tell you in writing that not only my DNA is changing, but that of my family. And I can tell you that not ever again will there be any cancer in my family. So a lot depends on your state of mind. A lot depends, what is my attitude? You know what my blood group is? A, B positive, it's AB positive. I utilize it to the maximum. You know what I tell? There was that thing about the net, going to the net and finding out what the matter is. The minute I start counseling a patient, I say, no going to the net. Net is prohibited. You want to go to the net only once. You go to the net to read up on me on Google, You go to the net to see my YouTube videos, which, by the way, I discovered recently. There are about 60, 70, which I had no idea. So I've started another Neerja Malik official, by the way, which has my self-examination. I'm going to send that. It's only a 4.5 minute video. I'm going to send it to Himani. Please, I would love you to just spread it and make it absolutely viral.
We're doing that. We have also made our own animation for breast self-exam. Dr. Walia, Neerja ma'am herself has said that, treatment has progressed so much and science has improved so much. So when you treat patients now, what is their experience like? And like Neerja ma'am said, the mindset is important. Do doctors, oncologists help there as well?
A lot has changed in the treatment front as far as cancer is concerned. So I guess all my wonderful colleagues out here, they will agree with me. First one, foremost, the most important point, as Neerja wonderfully had put it, the mindset of the patients is also changing. Now there was something called as support groups. So now we have support groups. Lot many patients, lot many hospitals have started support groups. Lot many doctors have started support groups of the patients who have been cured, who have been treated in the past, who have been cured, and who are pillars of hope. Pillars of hope for the rest of the patients are the new people who join in, who have just started the treatment. So many people are learning. I mean, these are the wind of change. And apart from that, if we talk about technology, if we talk about science, there also in that front, things have really changed. So a few days back only, I had, one of my patients, we were like trying to write something. I mean, even if it is a stage 4 breast cancer patient, very, 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 very long survivors, unheard survivors anytime in the past. So there are treatments, newer options of hormonal treatment, newer targeted therapies. So you can go actually towards the minutest level in a cell. You can find the new targets which are there. There are a lot of new targeted options which are available. You have certain help you to give the specific therapy for target or specific abnormality which is present in those cancer cells, and you see patients living much more longer, doing much more better, and lot many more cures than any time in the past.
That is really encouraging to hear. Dr. Bhavna Parekh, I wanted to come to you and ask you, आपने हमें बताया कि आपने अहमदाबाद में देखा है कि रूरल एरिया से जो लेडीज आती हैं they have a lot of there are many cases of cervix cancer, और आपने ये भी हमें बताया कि गुजरात में हर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में मैमोग्राफी पॉसिबल है, तो साइंस और हेल्थ केयर फैसिलिटीज इम्प्रूव हो रही हैं, पर आपको लगता है कि in our small towns, in our villages, there is a change which is happening about awareness? Dr. Walia spoke about support groups. Now, support groups on Facebook, etc. Help. What about interiors of our country? अगर वहाँ किसी को कैंसर हुआ है तो वो फिर अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करते हैं क्या अपने आसपास, अपने फैमिली में बात करते हैं क्या अब लोग ज़्यादा जानकार हो गए इसके बारे में?
Actually, I practice in Ahmedabad, but I regularly visit at my hometown, that is in North Gujarat, just on the Rajasthan border, and I've been visiting that since 2011. Previously, there was a lesser amount of a patient, but nowadays, I mean, even the village patients or city patients, everybody is coming. A patient comes from the reference of a patient, and cancer survivors are the best example to spread an awareness. I just give you an example. One of my patients, she has come for a breast surgery, and I operated in 2012. She and her husband was very keen to remove a breast, but it was a very small lump, and I've done a breast conservative surgery. We do routinely breast conservative surgery as well as an oncoplastic breast surgery where we save a breast. And so these days the patient should not lose her breast. Breast conservation is very well possible. In my own practice also, around if I see 10 patients, around 5 to 6 patients are breast conservative surgery patients because they are very smaller in size. She has completed her treatment. She has taken a chemotherapy. She has passed through very bad stages like chemotherapy, tamoxifen, or all that. She herself is a beautician, and now if you see her photographs on Facebook, you don't recognize her that she is a cancer survivor. And I have taken her permission that shall I show your photos to all my patients, those who want to go for breast conservative surgery or breast surgeries. Then she said yes. So I've taken her permission and her husband permission also. And she said, even if you put my photo in your clinic also, but I have not done it. If I see, she's also my Facebook friend, and if I see her photo, she looks much more beautiful than any non-breast cancer person is there, any normal individual person is there. And she remains so happy. Her husband says, I got a new wife. She herself, she daily wears some Western clothes or sari and all that. Every function she visits, and she is more beautiful than what she was previously. So this is what recently I operated one patient. She is a doctor. It was a 5 centimeter tumor. I downgraded her by neoadjuvant chemotherapy, finished all the cycles of chemotherapy. The tumor gone down to by 1 centimeter, even lesser than that. And when I removed the tumor, there was no viable tumor cells in a primary tumor. Unfortunately, there were few nodes positive into the axilla. She is 26, homeopathic doctor. She has yet to get married, and now she is so happy that at least she can think of the rest of her life. So it has changed a lot. Cancer survivors are the best example to spread an awareness. Many of the cancer survivors are spreading awareness about the breast as well as about the head and neck cancers. Head and neck cancers are equally common into Gujarat. And many of the male, even females, are developing head and neck cancers. So we see a lot of, I think media is playing a big role, the functions, a lot of programs are going on. I myself made a mobile application on that, where not only my address is there, but there is a breast self-examination separate session is also there inside it. My website is also containing entire breast self-examination. Every time patient comes to me, I always tell them how to do breast examination. Patients are generally doing breast examination in a sitting position. It should ideally be done in a supine position. So you can very well palpate her breast. As Dr. Bhavna Shiroi rightly mentioned, if you don't know your normal breast, how can you able to see your abnormal breast? Because the breast consistency changes in a 20 years of a female to 50 years of a female, because the breast involutes over the period of a time. So this is what I want to say about this question.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Parekh. So seriously, I guess because the woman got a second life, she felt more beautiful, and everybody, around her also considered her to be more beautiful. Dr. Sirohi, we've spoken at length about cervical cancers, breast cancers. Now, breast cancers, cervical cancer, they are screenable. We are trying to create the awareness so that women are in tune with their bodies. What about some of the other deep-seated cancers like ovarian cancer or endometrial cancer, like one of you mentioned? Now, they may not have immediate signs or symptoms. While we have seen progress in the medical infrastructure coming up, what could be ways to try to catch these kind of cancers early? Could we have screenings here or checkups, or what could something be done?
I think that was a beautiful story by Bhavna, and I think a patient can empower another patient better than I can, because they've been through that journey, and as Neerja said, a conqueror is at better placed to talk about this. So there are some cancers which lend themselves to screening, we've talked about cervical cancer, we've talked about breast cancer, because we can detect them at stage 0. Which is, we can detect them at a precancerous stage. The third cancer which lends itself to screening is colon cancer. March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Today is, Wear Blue Day. And I think I can see Nikky is wearing blue, and so this is basically to increase awareness about colon cancer. Now, in urban India, I'm seeing more and more women and men who are developing colon cancer. And that again is related to our lifestyle. And a simple stool occult blood test, which is by the fecal immunochemical method, check which method the hospital is doing wherever you give your stool test, can detect, if your stool occult blood is positive, you can have a colonoscopy. It's getting common mainly because of our lifestyle factors. The fourth cancer which lends itself to screening is lung cancer, especially if you use tobacco. If you've used tobacco for a long time, you can have a low dose CT chest. There are no other screening tests recommended for any other type of cancer, because, to go and do mass ultrasound abdomen and do CA125 and tumor markers, all of these are not evidence-based and not recommended. So sadly, we do not have any screening for any deep-seated cancers. And the best way to do it is mainly, listening to your body. Ovarian cancer, especially if there is a family history of ovarian cancer or breast cancer, one should see a gynecologist or a physician and see what your risk is. They should be able to tell you what your risk is, and one can have an ultrasound abdomen or a blood test. But I would not recommend routine screening or the other tests which are being done very frequently nowadays, which patients come to me with, is a PET scan as part of a screening. It should not be done. It gives you unnecessary radiation. The second thing which is being done, patients come with this fancy report, which is 10 pages long, is a genomic test as a cancer screening test. Please do not do that. I had a patient who had a genomic test which showed, I tweeted it actually, which showed that his cancer risk is high. So he ended up having a PET scan, and then he says, doctor, are you sure I don't have cancer and I will never develop cancer? I said, no, you've spent 100,000 rupees, but you've not had a stool occult blood test. It would cost 100 rupees, or for men, that's what I would recommend, having a stool occult blood test. So don't be taken in by these, have an executive health checkup, but read what the package entails. Don't have your tests blindly, I would suggest.
Right. So Dr. Gulia, for screening cancers, screenable cancers, we are creating awareness so that women hear their bodies, take the steps required to go for the screenings and prevent cancers. What about other things that we can do to keep cancer away? Is it lifestyle changes, is it better diet, is it more exercise? What would you say to that account?
Yeah, so I think healthy lifestyle is very important to reduce the risk of cancer, and that will reduce the risk of ovarian cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, oral cancers, like no tobacco, no smoking, regular exercise at least 3 days a week. We should avoid junk food, more of a healthy food, more of fibers in the diet. All these things will reduce the chances of cancer. So healthy lifestyle is very important, and regular exercise.
Right. Nikky, we're going to wind down this entire discussion. So I want to talk to the survivors. Ma'am, I'll come to you. Neerja, ma'am, I'll definitely come to you too. But Nikky, what would you like to say to the women who are watching? They don't have cancer. They may be very young. They may feel that hame nahi hoga. What would you like to say to the women and their families? Maybe if the families are more aware, then they will nudge their moms to be more mindful about themselves. What would you say?
See, there's one thing that I want to say, that there's nothing to be fearful of the word cancer, because as much as if we are able to understand what it is about, that fear will automatically go away. And honestly, I am a survivor, and I can tell you this much, that if I was given a choice, if I would want to delete that experience from my life and go back to my life as it was previously, I don't want that. I am honestly very happy for everything that has happened in my life, and I can truly say that it's become more beautiful after this experience of cancer. So there is nothing to be fearful about. What is important is that if at all it is to happen to somebody, for the person to be diagnosed at an early stage, for which taking the responsibility of your own body is important. Right? So please don't wait for others to give you that nudge that you have to take care about yourself. Go for regular screenings, do your self-breast exam, get everything done at the right time. And if it is there, then please accept the truth and move forward with it towards the treatment. What happens is that a lot of us go in denial, or we are so fearful even after knowing that there is a symptom, that we don't go to the doctors. So it is important to accept what it is there, take a step forward and think about the strategy and get the treatment done. And the only thing again to focus on is that just take responsibility of your own body, and do not wait others to tell you what is important for you to be done.
Neerja ma'am, what would you like to say? Because, I have a friend whose mom passed away because of breast cancer. And I also, sometimes ask her, have you done a self-exam? We don't want to point it out to her that, she may be at higher risk, but she's casual. She won't do it. Even after reminding her, have you done it? Have you done it? She's like, karungi, dekhungi. How do you get people to become more serious about, their own health?
I've noticed that sometimes when patients come to me, they come as if they just want to curl up and die. They want to be left alone. And then slowly and steadily, the way to introduce hope, encouragement, the words you used, is to give them a little trailer of my life. And then, from this, suddenly, it becomes this. And the last thing I tell them is, join me. You have seen what I have taken you through, from absolute fear to coming over it. Join me because I wait for you. And I said, आप treatment खत्म कर लोगे ना, तो आपके इलाके में, if anyone gets cancer, they will say, इसके पकड़ो. And they will come to you, and you have seen how I have brought you out from everything. You will be the top gun in that situation. So I tell them, we are spreading a ripple after ripple of awareness, of knowledge. Anisha, I'm going to take 1 minute to tell you that I started the Apollo Cancer Support Group on the 8th of March, 2004. Also, I've written a book called I Inspire, and it has 10 treasures. And all of you women will understand what are my 10 treasures. I'm going to take 10 seconds. 1, love. 2, fun and laughter. 3, God. 4, faith. Miracles. Death is also a treasure because it teaches you acceptance. Attitude of gratitude with which you get abundance and you therefore live in the now. So these are the 10 treasures that I live for. And when we talk about cancer, this is something that I want to make clear to all of us. 1981 December, we were living in London and we went to America. We met cousins. 3 of us cousins put the mothers-in-law's kids to sleep. And what did we talk about? We chatted till 4, till I asked that fateful question. I wonder who next. Now, they say, bel mujhe maar. They say you put the words out into the universe. It gives you what you ask for on a platter. And Shah Rukh Khan ki line and Koilo's line that, the universe conspires to give it to you. There were 3 of us. I was diagnosed in 98. My other cousin was diagnosed in 2001. My third cousin was diagnosed in 2008. What were we doing there when we said, I wonder what next? And this is what I tell my patients. I give them live examples of what I have gone through to make them understand. Okay, dekho, one patient came to me and she's crying. She didn't have a leg, but she looked as if she just stepped out of a Vogue magazine because she wore pants, she wore skirts, dresses, and her nails were done, everything. She sat next to me and she wept. And she said, I get pain here. I think it's coming back. I get pain here. I think it's coming back. And I told her just one thing. I don't know how to stop her crying. I said, I'm glad you've come today, not tomorrow. She said, why not? Why not tomorrow? I wouldn't have been here. Why not? I said, I went for a movie. When you go for a movie, you have cold coffee and popcorn. Popcorn dropped. You do this. And I showed it to her. I said, do you see this lump? She said, yes. I said, I discovered it while I was brushing the popcorn. So I'm going to Bombay for my surgery tomorrow. And she wept like anything. Why? Because she remembered all that I've been through. And I said, you're crying for me? She said, yes. So much, it's so unfair. I said, I'm not crying for me. And this is important. I said, there are only 2 things that I'm certain about. One, that I'm born. The other, that I'm dying. I will die. But if all these things happen to me, miscarriages, stillborns, premature twins, cancer twice, septicemia 3 times, if at every point I think that this is the end all and be all of existence, I told her, I said, Pata, you know what I'll be doing? mar ke jeena, dying living, and I don't want to do that. So I told her, I might be walking on the street, a lorry will come and hit me, and I won't even know I'm dead. So when I talk to them, they understand. They can feel it because I'm talking from the heart. They'll say, and that is where I make an impact. So I know for a fact that people, the fear, the burden of thought of generations, high cancer, nahi ho raha. We're getting there. Neeti, you will agree with me. We're getting there. There is a little more to do, and all of us together can do it. And I'm so grateful for this wonderful session we've had, Anisha. Thank you so much for giving me.
Thank you. A big thank you to all of you for joining us. Like Neerja ma'am said, we are getting there. And when we all of us work together, the medical oncologists, the doctors, families, women themselves, attuned to their bodies, we will definitely get there. We will catch cancer early and nip it in the bud. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to speak about this very important issue on the eve of International Women's Day. Dr. Meenu Walia, Dr. Siva Gulia, Dr. Bhavna Parekh, Neeti, Neerja ma'am, Dr. Bhavna Siroi, thank you so much for taking the time out and sharing with us your experiences and telling the world, the women in the world, that your health is in your hand. Cancer is nothing to be fearful of. If you suspect it, take action now. There is a lot of hope. We have real people talking, real women who lived through this talking about it and saying that अगर फिर से अगर वापस जाना होता हो जाता better रहता, because their life learnings, your second life is more beautiful. So don't fear cancer. Be attuned to your body. Take action. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
With that, we will wrap up this special session. Thank you all for watching. Do follow us on Facebook to get all the updates on our upcoming programs. Keep sending us your questions and we'll certainly include them. If you have any questions, we'll try to include them in our subsequent shows. Stay at home, take care, and have a great weekend. Goodbye and see you soon.
Thank you.